Hi everyone, welcome to my channel where we make learning English both funny and effective. In this series, I will be sharing with you the exact method I use to improve my English. Every day, I will take a page from the famous 5 on the Treasure Island. Read it with you and focusing on 20 new words from that page. Together, we'll exploring their meanings, learning how to use them in a sentence, and even do some simple exercise to understand the page better. To make it easy for you, I will providing a PDF version of the book in the description box below. This step-by-step approach helping me a lot, and I am confident it will help you too. So let's start this journey together and make learning English an enjoyable experience. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and join me every day of a new lesson. Today I will explore with you page 19. Read it and explanation your guide to mastering English. 20 vocabulary words. Scold, tongue, brave, mistake, promise, rose, miserable, trait, hug, ashamed, gruffly, beach, fisher boy, horse, splendidly, proud, bark, swimmer, surf, rock. The boys didn't scold her. They knew that Anne's tongue very often ran away with her, but she always tried to make up from it afterwards. They thought it was very brave of her to go and find George. George was lying on her back under a big tree in the garden and went up to her. I am sorry I nearly made a mistake, George, she said. Here's your bread and cheese. I brought it for you. I promise I'll never forget not to mention Tim again. George sat up. I've a good mind not to take you to see the wreck, she said. Stupid baby. Anne's heart sank. This was what she had feared. Well, she said, you needn't take me, of course, but you might take the boys, George. After all, they didn't do anything silly. And anyway, you gave me an awful kick. Look at the bruise. George looked at it. Then she looked at Anne. But wouldn't you be miserable if I took Julian and Dick without you? She asked. Of course, said Aunt. But I don't want to make them miss a tree, even if I have to. Then George did a surprising thing for her. She gave Anne a hug. Then she immediately looked most ashamed of herself, for she felt sure that no boy would have done that, and she always tried to act like a boy. It's all right, she said gruffly, taking the bread and cheese. You were nearly very silly, and gave you a cake, so it's all square. Of course, you can come this afternoon and spend back to tell the boys that everything was all right, and in 15 minutes' time, 4 children ran down to the beach. By a boat was a brown-faced fisher boy about 14 years old. He had Timothy with him. Boats are ready, Master George, he said with a grin. And Tim's ready, too. Thanks, said George, and told the other to get in. Timothy jumped in, too, his big tail wagging 19 to the desert. George pushed the boat off into the surf and then jumped in herself. She took the oars. She rowed splendidly, and the boat shot along over the blue bay. It was a wonderful afternoon, and the children loved the movement of the boat over the water. Timothy stood at the prow and barked whenever a wave reared its head. "He's funny on a wild day," said George, pulling hard. He barks madly at the big waves and gets so angry if they splash him. He's an awfully good swimmer. The explanation of the 20 important words from the text. Scold, to criticize or reprimand someone. Tongue, here, it refers to speech or manner of speaking. Brave, showing courage. Mistake, an error or something done incorrectly. Promise, a commitment to do or not do something. Bruise, a mark on the skin caused by injury. Miserable, very unhappy or uncomfortable. Treat, something enjoyable or special. Hug, an act of holding someone tightly in one's arms. Ashamed, feeling embarrassed or guilty. Gruffly, in a rough or stern manner. Beach, the sandy or pebbly shore by the ocean. Fisher boy, a boy who fishes or works with fishing. Oars, tools used to row a boat. Splendidly, in an excellent or impressive way. Prow, the front part of a boat. Bark, the sound a dog makes. Swimmer, someone or something that swims. Surf, the waves of the sea breaking on the shore. Wreck, the remains of a destroyed ship. Opposite, antonyms of the 20 words. Scold, praise. Tongue, silence. Brave, growled. Mistake, corrections. Promise, break, as in breaking a promise. Browse, hell. Miserable, happy. Trait, punishment. Hug, push away. Ashamed, proud. Gruffly, gently. Beach, island. Fisher boy, landlubber. Someone unfamiliar with the sea. Ours, honor. Splendidly, proudly. Prow, stern. back of a boat, bark, whisper, swimmer, non-swimmer, surf, come, rock, ripper. 8 comprehensions question based on the text. Why didn't the boy scold Aunt? They were afraid of her. They knew she often spoke without thinking but tried to make up for it. They didn't care about her feelings. They they wanted to make her cry. In the text, the boys didn't scold her. They knew that Aunt's tongue very often ran away with her, but she always tried to make out for it afterwards. They thought it was very brave of her to go and find George. Yes, the answer is they know she often spoke without thinking but trying to make up for it, is the answer. What did Aunt bring for George? A book, bread and cheese, a toy, a letter. The answer of question number 2 in the text: I am sorry I nearly made a mistake. George, she said, here is your bread and cheese. Yes, is the answer. Bread and cheese. Why was George upset with Aunt and forget to bring her food and mentioned Tim, which George didn't like and didn't want to play with her and broke her toe? The answer of the question number 3 in the text: I promise it never forget not to mention Tim again. Yes, is the answer. And mentioned Tim, which George didn't like. Yes, is the answer. Now, question number 4. What did Aunt fear would happen after George got upset? George would take her to the rock. George wouldn't take her to see the rock. George would tell the boys about her mistakes. George would leave her alone forever. The answer of the question in the text: George said up, I've a good mind not to take you to see the rock, she said. Stupid boys. Aunt heard snack. This was what she had feared. Well, she said, you needed take me, of course, but you made take the boys. George, after all. Yes, is the answer. George wouldn't take her to say the rock. George wouldn't take her to say the rock. Question number 5. What surprising thing did George do after an apologize? She shouted at Anne. She gave Anne a hug. She ran away. She cried. The answer of the question in the text: then George did surprising thing for her. She gave Anne a hug. Yes, is the answer. She gave Anne a hug. Now, question number 6. Who was waiting by the boat at the beach? A fisherman, a brown-faced fisher boy, a strong dog. The answer of the question in the text: and speed back to tell the boys that everything was all right, and in 15 minutes time 4 children ran down to the beach. By a boat was a brown-faced fisher boy about 15 years old. Yes, is the answer. A brown-faced fisher boy is the answer for the question number 6. Now the question 7. What did Tim do when the boat was in the water? He slept. He braked at the ways. He jumped out of the boat. He hid under a seat. The answer of the question 7 in the text: the movement of the boat over the water. Timothy stood at the bow and braked whenever a wave rounded its head. Yes, is the answer. He braked at the waves is the answer of the question 7. Now, the question 8. How did George feel after hugging Anne? Happy, ashamed, angry, excited? The answer of the question in the text: she gave Anne a hug, then she immediately looked most ashamed of herself. Yes, is the answer ashamed. Now, to better understand and memorize the 20 words we shared today, I've provided a series of exercises for you to follow. You found the PDF in the description box below. Find in the blanket the answer and conversation you can practice with yourself and write exercise and puzzle word search exercise and the answer and the crossword puzzle and her answer. I just have to see you goodbye and I will see you in another video.